He wanted to be noticed. He wanted people to see him. It was dangerous, this want. It was mad, but sometimes he was afraid that he didn't exist. Now and again someone recognized what he was. They had to die. If they didn't, well, it was foolish not to think of protecting himself. There was no one who knew him, no one to say his name. He turned a corner and startled a dog. They cringed and growled at each other. The dog's hackles spiked, then it whimpered and ran. Simon walked on and found a weed-choked vacant lot. Its only inhabitant was an abandoned car. He sat on a ruined wall and gazed at the moon. "Hey, boy," a call from the high brick wall next door. A leg was flung over, and then a scruffy youth of about 16 pulled himself astride it. "Boy," Simon thought sarcastically. He smiled in anticipation. "Yeah, you," came a deeper voice. Another youth, perhaps a touch older, stepped out from behind the car. He was a big lout in jeans and a flannel shirt like a lumberjack. A sneering boy in a leather jacket followed him. "This is our lot," he hissed. He carried a half-empty liquor bottle and swayed slightly. His right hand flashed silver. Simon saw he carried a knife. Simon didn't like long, pointy things. They made him nervous. He didn't like being nervous. A scuffling announced the descent of the wall straddler. A thud, his landing. The boy spread out and converged on Simon. He rose slowly from his perch, muscles tightened. The boys advanced. "Where you from?" "You ain't from here." "Nobody here knows you." "Yeah," spoke the wall climber. "And if nobody knows you, you ain't nobody." He giggled a high-pitched, nervous sound, and wiped his hands against a ragged Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt. Nobody even the scum called him nobody. Simon stepped toward the danger into their net. They had caught shark this time. He smiled. "Pretty tough, huh?" said the big one mockingly. The boy with the leather jacket settled his bottle into the crotch of 2 bricks. "Pretty stupid, you mean." He tossed the knife from hand to hand. "You a retard or something?" "Yeah, he's too dumb to be scared." Simon turned his back on the third boy, the one who had said that. He was a sheep. The big one was a bully, but the leather-clad one was trouble. He was crazy. He didn't smoke weed, he smoked green. Simon could smell it on him. It reeked like burning plastic, and it killed the brain. It made people think they couldn't die. "This is our playground, buddy." "Yeah, wanna play?" Simon finally spoke. "Is that what you said to your mother last night?" "Son of a—" The big one charged him, swinging meaty fists. Simon stepped aside quick as thought. The boy stumbled, looked confused, then turned like an angry bear to attack again. Simon stepped aside once more. His opponent breathed heavily. Simon smiled. "Get the biggest one, and the rest off and run." But he kept the crazy one in his sight all the same. You didn't know about dusters. They danced a lopsided waltz on the waste ground, and the big youth's fury grew and grew. Then Simon stood still. The boy grabbed. He expected to miss, but to his surprise found that the quarry was his. He panted and grinned. He had Simon's arm in a crushing hold as he prepared a blow, and Simon, who didn't come up to his chin, clutched the boy's belt with his free hand and lifted him into the air. The boy waved his arms like an insect and gurgled with fear. The boy in the jacket spat an oath, but was frozen, enthralled. The other boy trembled but couldn't move either. Simon threw his opponent then, an impossible distance. The boy sailed the air for a moment, then crashed in a pile of debris. The sound broke the spell, and Simon heard the third boy run. But the boy with the knife laughed. He slinked forward, steel flickering in the streetlight. He had seen a fight or two, Simon surmised, but probably one through sheer viciousness, not skill. Best to deal with him as a cat does a rat. No play, snap it fast. The boy was expecting another dance, not for his victim to walk right up to him. He hesitated a second, confronted with craziness greater than this. Then he saw something in Simon's eyes that made him lunge. He slashed wildly in fear, but too late. His knife went flying. His arms, captured for a moment, went limp and searing and useless. He backed away. It was Simon's turn to laugh, a sound dark and cursed. The blow he landed on snapped the boy back and smashed him against the car. The boy started to slide to the ground, but slim white hands reached for him delicately and slammed him once more against the car. The third blow rendered him unconscious and flooded Simon with the sweet, warm pleasure of the kill. "Call me nobody," he whispered, and his fangs slid from their sheaths. "Call me nobody?" He screamed as if in pain. He hoisted his victim up and tore the boy's wrists open with a savage scissoring of teeth. He raised the boy's arm and with the pulsing blood wrote wavering letters on the dingy primer of the car's roof. "I am." The dark, raw smell of blood intoxicated. He found himself embracing the boy and pulling the damaged wrist up to his mouth. Faintly, somewhere, he felt disgust. A distant echo cried from him to stop, but the blood call was too strong. He had almost placed a reverent kiss upon the hand when Simon screamed too close. He pushed the limp body from him, but it seemed to cling. For a moment he felt trapped, then it slid to the ground, but in the midst of panic a perverse whim took hold. He began to strip the jacket from the huddled form, struggling with the boy's inert bulk, bloodying the lining, ripping a seam until it pulled free. Black and glittering, he had the prize. He clutched it to him, leaving its owner his life. Then he was running. He fled past his first assailant, now staring with white-faced rictus fear through the rubble of lost homes out into the night, on and on through the streets, until he arrived in the quiet yard of a house with a dark green door. He wrapped the blood-stained jacket about his shoulders and sank down beneath an azalea bush. He stared at her window until dawn.